We are ready. All right, our next presenter is Wai-Ling Cheong, who is chair and professor of music at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. She received her PhD from Cambridge University. Her research includes the music of Messiaen and Scriabin, as well as the reception of Central European and Soviet music theory in China and Japan. She recently published an article, Chinese Whispers, contextualizing the finale of Messiaen's Et Expecto with Chunyan Se in Music and Letters last year in 2025. Congratulations on that. And today she will be presenting Hidden Horizons, Scriabin's Metric and Rhythmic Modernism. So welcome, Wai-Ling Cheong.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I just make sure that everybody can hear me. Because
yes.
the aircon is very noisy, the aircon here. So it's all clear. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. This is really from a book chapter that is going to be published in a book called Rethinking Scriabin. I haven't really timed it, so I may overrun. So please feel free to interrupt me. But I will try to keep it to 20 minutes, of course. So Scriabin's experimentation with innovative approaches to meter and rhythm within the confines of traditional staff notation has not attracted enough critical attention, I think. So this analytical inquiry aims to address this gap, focusing specifically on his piano sonatas. I argue that Messiaen's studies of metric and rhythmic modernism vis-a-vis the music of Debussy and Stravinsky, so Messiaen's study of Debussy and Stravinsky's music, offer valuable references for interpreting Scriabin's innovative approaches. Messiaen's exploration of metric rhythmic strategies in Debussy's music that will appear in his Traité de rythme de couleur et d'ornithologie, volume 6. And the other one is his Messiaen's study of Stravinsky's Rites of Spring. And he developed a theory of rhythmic characters out of that, and that is in volume 2. So Messiaen's study of Debussy and Stravinsky's music, I think, offer insights into Scriabin's rhythmic and metric innovations. This is the premise. I will also be referring to Messiaen's technique of musical language briefly. So I would go straight into the music examples. So before talking about more complicated metric and rhythmic treatment in Scriabin's music, I would just briefly visit the early one. So this is Sonata number 1, the third movement. So let's have a listen. So this is something called metrical dissonance in Harold Krepp's term, and more specifically, displacement dissonance. At the very beginning, we would hear that the melody and the accompaniment are notated and heard in 12/8, so quadruple time. But there's a time lag of an 8th note between this upper part and the lower parts. More specifically, the galloping figure in the accompaniment appears 1/8 notes in advance. So that leads to the beaming of this group of 3/8 notes across the bar line every time there's a bar line. This displacement dissonance means that they are both in quadruple time, but they are forever apart. So this displacement means this time lag. So this is also what we observe in Sonata number 2. Here is the first movement. Again, let's have a listen.
Wai-Ling.
Sorry. Yes.
Can you share your sound as well?
Sorry. Yes. Just a moment. So let me go to share. So was it heard just now, or is not?
No, we couldn't hear it. So when you go to share your video, there should be a share sound option as well.
I've chosen that. So please excuse me for playing this Sonata number 1 again. It's just a very short clip. So make sure that it's heard this time. Is it okay now? This time?
It might be our signal here. I'm not sure.
Still not heard?
Could the people watching via Zoom, could they hear it? Thumbs up.
Oh, it's still not just, it's not. Sorry,
there is
tried.
sound, but the quality of the sound is not good.
Okay.
Okay.
So okay. Thank you, Anna.
Sorry. So I should move on maybe with this second example. Hopefully this is better. So with this example, what we observe is once again, there is this displacement dissonance, meaning the complement is one eighth notes ahead of the right-hand melody. But there is something more to this example, and that is the melody is not really in 3/4 time. So this is notated in 3/4 time, but there are three groups of triplets to each measure in this measure, I mean, but they are grouped in a very different way. So we have two eighth note triplets together and then another two eighth note triplet together and so on. So what I've put down here is a series of 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 3, 4 eighth notes, which is against the 3/4 time notated meter. So what I would suggest here is this is more like a written out ritardando in the melody part. And so we have 3/4 time in the complement, but we don't really have that in the melody. So with that, I would like to go briefly to Messiaen's technique of my musical language, in which he mentioned this feeling of a short note value. The example he gave was 16. It can be any short notes value, and then use that to do free multiplication. And the results of that can lead us to music that is more or less non-metrical. So with that in mind, take example, which is sonata number 8. I still want to play it a bit. Here the music is notated in 6/8, but when it comes to these block chords, what we hear is 1/8 note, 2/8 notes, 3/8 notes, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4.5 to be precise. So again, we have time notes across the beats, and of course here across the bar line, meaning that in fact the music is not really in 6/8 here. So that tie back to what we mentioned from Messiaen's technique of my musical language, that perhaps Scriabin is using this short notes value of an eighth note and then doing some sort of multiplication. I would in particular like to draw attention to this hairpin crescendo and decrescendo. So when playing this, it would not be appropriate to treat this one, I think, given this decrescendo marking, as syncopation. So this is more like really additive rhythm, as I would refer to this term additive rhythm from this point onward. So this use of additive rhythm here is quite special, but another thing that is worth mentioning is up here, where we have these quintuplets, and then this quintuplets is grouped into 3 and 2 within a piece of an excerpt that is notated in 6/8. So with 6/8, typically we can have long, short in quarter notes and quaver, but here it's a kind of irrational value. So this is precisely what Messiaen talked about in his Taite Volume 6, which is a volume on dedicated to the music of Debussy. And the title of that chapter, which is the first chapter in the volume, is Debussy's Rhythmic Processes, Rational and Irrational Values. And in here, he would have examples, say, from Près to the Afternoon of Faune, La Mer, and also from Jolivet's music, in which he also draw attention to the use of irrational value within irrational value within irrational value. So a triplet within another triplets. So all these are trying to get to some sort of rhythmic fluidity. And he also mentioned about tie notes across the bar line, or the tie note within a measure, but with a short note tied to a long note, to delete the sensation, the perception of beats as prescribed by the metrical grid. With that, we moved on to sonata number 5, in which I argue that there is also this kind of a series of duration, but this is much more extended. So I would play this, but this is extremely loud, so please bear with me. This is kind of explosive. Well, in the interest of time, I won't play all that. So I show you, mainly I'll be discussing this linguindo passage. And we observe this frequent change of time signature. So I would also like to show you that as this go on and on, in fact, we can understand this passage of music as comprising 3 blocks, A, B, and C. Sometimes A is shortened, and this is exactly what Messiaen referred to as rhythmic characters. Like A is one character, B another character, and C yet another character. Okay. So we notice that this block A is typically starting with G sharp, going down to D sharp, and block B again start with G sharp, but go up rather than down to B. And with C, eventually we have a cadence-like gesture, and this end with G sharp, which is an octave higher. And here we get a bell-like effect. So if we understand this passage as block-based, which is something that we are quite familiar with from the study of Van den Toorn of Stravinsky's music, we would be able to also understand it as a duration series, which is like this. So here I have a table, block A, B, C, and then I put down the number of quavers or eighth notes. Then we will be getting 10, 10, 11, 11, 9, 11, and so on and so forth as the kind of block-based rhythm to this music. So going back to Messiaen's discussion of 3 multiplication of a short value, I take the short value to be an eighth note and come up with this analysis that this passage is block-based, first of all, and then it is not really 5/8, although it is notated in 5/8 or 4/8. That is really a notational convenience to convey a kind of rhythm that is much, much more fluid. So fluid that perhaps it cannot be captured by traditional notation. So with the last bit of time, I would go through this very briefly. This is another passage from Sonata number 5. Okay, sorry, I just set the time so that I won't overrun too much. So this passage is much more metrical, but again, it is block-based. So I call it A and B. This is notated in 6/8 time, and the block A has no problem, hearing it in 6/8. With the block B is more problematic. In fact, we would hear in its only 2 note value. One is eighth note and the other is quarter notes. So da-da-dum, da-dum, dum, da-da-dum, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. It's not really 6/8. So what's happening here, and I argue that maybe Messiaen's analysis of Stravinsky's sacrificial dance, in which he identifies some ancient Greek rhythms in the passage, where the passage go on for something like 2 minutes, and it only has this eighth and quarter notes, is similar to here. So the proposition is that Scriabin is also having some sort of ancient Greek rhythm. This is anapaes, and this paeon, and so on, at the back of his mind when composing this. So I come to a brief conclusion. In contrast to the extensive discussion of pitch organization in Scriabin's music, the literature really doesn't have a lot to tell us about his how his meter and rhythm is charting new territories in these areas. So one reason is because there's this discrepancy between notated meter and oral meter. So if we stick to the notated meter, we will be missing quite a bit of what's actually happening. So I hope this study of metric and rhythmic innovation, including sometimes is very rhythmic, fluid writing, and sometimes very metrical, but then it is not the kind of regular metrical setting, will shed some light on his innovation in this field that hasn't been much discussed. Thank you very much.
It was great. Thank you, Wai-Ling. Do we have any questions in the room or on Zoom? Yes.
I don't remember which example it was, but we labeled the blocks as A, B, and C. It was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering, sorry.
Maybe I need the chair to repeat the question.
I think it was the first example, and you labeled the blocks as A, B, and C. And I was wondering what made you label them as different blocks rather than a variation of A, because they seemed somewhat similar. and maybe contour, maybe the rhythm?
It's really because the repetition of this block B, say for example here, if you compare this to initially, am I heard? Is it okay? Initially, it's only 2 notes, G sharp, B. So we can say this is A's continuation, whatever. But when we come to here, okay, so this G sharp B is still here, but it has this inner part, and it's preceded by several block A repeating itself. So instead of just having 2 block A and then block B and C, again, also here it's just A and then C, skipping the B. So the identity of the block, say A, B, C, themselves being, is it okay?
Yeah, can you share your screen again? I don't think we saw. It's okay.
Okay, sorry.
There it is. Yes.
Okay, so this is AAB like this, and then C. So it seems like it is AABC is the kind of syntax or whatever. And then you have A skipping B and go directly to C. This is one evidence. And the other evidence is here, then we just get A, repeated. And then you get to B, B is still the same. It doesn't change.
Суммирование.
So, and then coming to here is still block A, but then it has some other things added on. So this A is very fixed in its identity. That's what makes it sound like a block.
Yeah, it's great to see the continuation. That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you so much, Wai-Ling.
Thank you so much. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank